Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Music by yours truly, Daniel Morrison. I'm going to be taking you through my song You Loved Me Before today. And it's been a while since I've really looked at this, besides just in the past few minutes here. So it'll be a nice little refresher for everybody, hopefully. But yeah, just you'll get to hear a little bit of the story of the song and the way I made it. Right now you're inside my Cubase recording project here. I'm just checking OBS to make sure. Yes, I'm still recording. Huzzah! Alright, so here's all the tracks you see. Not as beautifully color coordinated as the last one of these I did. And here's the whole song. It clocked in around 4 minutes and 52 seconds. Huzzah! Yeah, so just a quick overview. Up here in red, that's the lead vocal. Above that, all these tracks that are muted here, these are other vocal takes, I guess. We got some harmony vocals going on here. Some clock ticking that I guess I edited out for whatever reason. So yeah, I have a lot of muted tracks here. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Here's all these MIDI instruments. If it has a little keyboard over here, that means it's MIDI and not audio. So here's the different instruments: organ, piano, bass. Groove Agent is the drums. The bright green here, those are my fake strings, which here I'll let you hear what they sound like. Sort of. Beautiful. And so those sound pretty fake. But they used to sound even more fake. I think I had sort of just a generic pizzicato string sound in there, and then my friend was like, these don't sound super real, and it's kind of jarring when you hear them. And and so I proceeded to make them sound even more fake, so you knew I was doing it on purpose. So I'm gonna find. Sorry, let me get rid of this guy. Go away. Trying to remember. Here we go. Edit instrument. There we go. So this sound is made up of. I'll do these one at a time. So we have just the pizzicato strings. Then we have. Man, this is hard to do. Here we go. I'll do it this way. Then we have. Very quietly. Kind of a bell sound. Then. Almost inaudible. That it's a koto sound. I'm not even quite sure what that is. Hope that's okay. Very quiet piano, and then it's very, very quiet. But I don't want to. Oh, actually, I can undo. So here's what that bell sounds like. Does that sound like a string instrument? I don't think so, but. I wanted to get all those sounds in there to make it sound even more fake and mechanistic, because what happens here at the beginning, I'll just play a little bit of the beginning. Alright, and I must have some things muted because I don't hear none of that. None of that pizzicato. Oh yes, I do. Haha, look at that. I forgot to unmute it. Here we go. Let's try that again. Clock ticking. So sort of what the strings are indicating here, and that last one, that rum dum dum, it's kind of dissonant. Trying to remember what the notes are, but it's like. I forget exactly what the notes are, but it's basically outlining a tritone. Actually, I can click on it and figure it out for you if you want. But the point is, it sounds kind of dissonant. Let's just solo that. And so all these strings together in there, not very stringish, but sounding kind of mechanical and like bells and stuff in some ways more than strings. Not very human is that the first line of the song is, "Why won't I stop all this restless activity that keeps on keeping me from coming to you?" And so the clock ticking at the beginning, that's all the restless activity of our society. So full of productivity mindset, and you have to be busy. It's a badge of honor to be tired and exhausted and wearing thin. And I get caught up in that a lot, of I need to be productive to show that I have value, to show that I have worth, to show that I'm lovable. And so that's sort of what this is signaling. Also, speaking of the clock, this is the clock that I recorded to get the clock ticking sound, which here it is, all by its lonesome. Now, for the astute, one may notice that this ticking clock is going at, here it says 76 BPM. That means 76 beats per minute, which is not how fast a clock ticks. A clock ticks at 60 beats per minute, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 ticks per minute. So I recorded it, and then I had to do, I forget exactly what I did to manipulate the sound, but I had to somehow do some math. We all use math every day. And maybe I used a sampler control or something. But I had to stretch it out in such a way, or speed it up rather, in such a way that it came out to be faster than an actual clock ticking. All right, that was a really long-winded explanation. But yeah, so I made this clock in the shape of the continent of Africa. I have my Kenyan flag in the background. I grew up in Kenya, spent about 15 years of my life there, which is right. If you don't know where Kenya is, it lives right. It doesn't live. It is right here, right in East Africa. So, so it was kind of fun to have something that I've had around for a long time and be like, that's going to be the sound of the ticking clock. Although I guess that's not a positive thing that the ticking clock symbolizes, of the hurriedness of our society. Cool. I'm just going to pull up, I have a list of notes of things I wanted to make sure I talked about. All right. So, it starts off with a sort of mechanical, and then right here, this line, I forget how I found it, but I think initially I had a very like minor sound in my head, like a C sharp minor. Sorry. So I was sort of hearing that in a minor key somewhere, like, oh sorry. I was hearing it couched in that sort of minor sound, but then it ended up working really well over the E major, which is the key that the song is in. I think. It's been so long since I've been looking at it. I think it's in E major. Yeah. So then it fit really nice over major. It has a melancholy feel to it. So I named it the soaring counter melody. So soaring. And then we move into this kind of, not bluesy, but there's a little bit of organ to give it some of that like gospel-y vibe to it. Even though I don't really sound very gospel-y in my singing. So also you'll notice one thing to mention here. You'll notice there's kind of an absurd number of takes that I did. Look at this. Lead vocals 111, lead vocals 124. I had so much trouble singing some of this song in tune, and like, yeah. So it was a real struggle. I think the end product got to a point where it's listenable, especially with some pitch correction. But just to show what goes into this, I had to record some bits and pieces of this over and over and over again, trying to get it to sound more in tune, more natural, less forced in the vocals. Anyways, we get into this more gospel-y section of asking this question of like, why do I keep hurrying myself? Why am I rushing around doing all this frantic activity?
Why won't I stop all this restless activity that keeps on keeping me from coming to you? And why won't I block out?
So, this piano here, it's not real piano, it's a fake piano, but I played a lot of it on my keyboard, but I just liked having the ability to go in and edit the notes where I didn't quite have it. So yeah, there's just a lot of fun interplay between the organ and the piano here. Like right here. So yeah, I had a lot of fun working on those organ lines. It just seemed like it needed something. There's nothing too exciting happening in the rhythm section overall in terms of like, at least the bass and the drums are kind of very repetitive. So adding in that organ line was a lot of fun. So anyway, skipping ahead, one of the funnest things with this tune, and this is the oldest song on the 3-track record in terms of when I started thinking of the lyrics, because I started thinking of these lyrics in, I guess, around spring of 2020. It was the very beginning of COVID. I was living with my parents, and yeah, I just like recorded some of this into a voice memo, and a lot of the tune is almost exactly the same as sort of the way I envisioned it back then. But I didn't have the recording know-how. I didn't have just a lot of the mechanics of being able to create something like this. So it's cool to see how it sort of came to fruition over a couple of years as I learned the skills of how to put all this stuff together. So anyways, but this was a fun part. And here initially I wanted to go for a vibe like in Fernando Ortega's his song Lord of Eternity. There's some cool spots where he's like, where everything sort of just drops out and it's this boom, boom, like this drum just hitting sort of in, it feels like it's in a big cavern, very sparse, just like a low drum sound and some higher, little pick, I don't even know what the right word is. It's almost like little birds fluttering here and there in the soundscape, but it's just very empty. You should go listen to that song, Fernando Ortega, Lord of Eternity. He's a great musician. All right, here we go. So this part was initially kind of inspired by that, but then went in sort of a different direction.
Teach me to stop. Teach me to listen. I'm afraid of what I'm not, afraid of what I'm missing, but my head knows you're there. And if only I'll pause, my heart will catch on and find you are the cause of the only revival I'll find for my soul. It's been neglected too long, been sidelined for songs and hurry, books and worry, and all of this time you've been waiting for me. You say your burden is light, your yoke it is easy. Jesus, I need.
Anyways, so I kept thinking to myself as we were just listening to that, I was like, I should pause it somewhere and explain some stuff, but that whole lyrical thought is just like one run-on sentence in the mind of so first of all, teach me to stop. And there's a big stop, which I think was probably subconsciously inspired by there's this great song that we would play when I was on the music staff at Camp of the Woods, which is now known as the Adirondack Performing Arts Fellowship. We got our resume's got a fancy name upgrade, but up at Camp of the Woods in New York, and every Friday at chapel, there's like basically kind of like a full orchestra that would do like lead the worship music, and we play this tune. And I'm blanking on the guy who originally wrote it. I think Tommy Walker maybe. But the song's called "We Will Remember." And with the full orchestra arrangement by Dan Galbraith, man, it was just kicking. Anyways, so much fun. But we do it every Friday, and there's this one part that's like, "We will stop and give you praise." So that part. And sometimes during rehearsal, we will stop, and we would just stop. I think one time we just stopped, and like that was the end of rehearsal, and we just walked off stage instead of finishing the song. But yeah, so I think I was subconsciously inspired by that, and it just works perfectly with the music to have a pause right there.
Teach me to stop.
And I love this little organ. Yeah, just sort of sending you off. And so this was initially where I had imagined it sort of really dropping into that sparse, just like doom, doom, But when I guess when I recorded this brass lift down here,
to listen.
and that in the context of the rest of the song just felt like this warm hug, like teach me to stop, silence, and then teach me to listen. It was just like this like warm embrace, and I didn't want to lose that warmth with a sparse build to climax. And so I just kind of this whole section, in hindsight, like it's like maybe it kind of tends to just drag on and be more and more the same. Maybe I could have taken some cooler, like, I don't know, cooler is right the word, but like some more liberties with expression in terms of changing up the melody, adding in, some sort of contrast to that. But I do like the warmth of it. So anyways, the lyrics: teach me to stop, teach me to listen. I'm afraid of what I'm not, afraid of what I'm missing. I think those were lyrics that I wrote them, and I was like, these sound so good, and they're so profound. I'm not quite sure that even I know what they mean, but like, yeah, I think I do carry a lot of fear of like, what am I missing out on? Where am I not enough? Like there's a better version of me out there and I'm not there, and that scares me. And like, how do I get there? And there's all these like works, like this mindset I've got to earn it and stuff. That's what this song's sort of about, of like, I need to be reminded that God loves me in spite of who I am not right now. He loves me for who I am right now. It's not about this better version of yourself that's out there that you're trying to get to. So yeah, anyways, teach me to stop, teach me to listen. I'm afraid of what I'm not, afraid of what I'm missing. Dude, I forget what comes next. Let's find out.
I'm missing, but my head.
Oh yeah, so but my head knows you're there, and if only I'll pause, my heart will catch on, and find you are the cause of the only revival I'll find for my soul. So, I think I really struggle with a very cerebral faith, and one that I know all the right Sunday school answers. I know a lot about theology and apologetics, and I can quote you all sorts of things from the Bible and other sources, but I think I'm learning. God's teaching me so much more about how that's not what the kingdom of God is about. It's not about how much stuff do you know, and it's just about, are you leaning into the transformation that Jesus is offering? Are you leaning into? Are you letting him love you into changing, because we can't change through our own efforts. We need to know his love for us, not up here, but down here. And so my head knows you're there, and if only I'll pause, my heart will catch on. Like, I need to pause. I can't just go from thing to thing, restless activity, ticking clock. I can't do that and be transformed by Jesus. I need to pause. I need to rest with him. Shameless plug time. I didn't know when I was going to do this, but I'm doing it right now. I've been reading this book. It's called Seeing is Believing. Experience Jesus Through Imaginative Prayer by Greg Boyd from Woodland Hills Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's really been challenging me and changing the way I think. And some people might say, imaginative prayer? What? You're making stuff up? And you got to read the book and talk about it with me, because that's kind of how I felt first. I'm like, I want the real thing. I don't want to make stuff up. Anyways, I'm getting off track. This video is not about this book, but this is all, like, not all about, but a lot of it talks about resting in Jesus is the way to transformation. There's something about you that's wrong, or like that you don't like, that you know isn't the way it should be. It's not what you were designed for, and you keep trying hard to fix it. And maybe you make some progress, but it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps back, whatever. But spending time with Jesus and letting him love you in your mess, letting him see that, like, Jesus, I have this sin in my life and I don't actually really want to change that right now. And being honest and letting him see it and say, I love you anyways. Like, that's what's actually going to transform us so that we don't have that sin in our life anymore. And so this is something, like, I have so much to grow in, because my faith so much is up here and it needs to come down here. And that doesn't happen by me saying, come down, faith, come down here, get down there. It happens through resting in Jesus. So highly recommend this book. He also did a sermon series on imaginative prayer that you can find through podcasts on the Woodland, like through Woodland Hills. If you just look it up, it should be pretty easy to find. I listened to that sermon series first, and then I started reading the book. So yeah, shameless plug. You didn't ask for it, but I gave it to you anyways. You're welcome. All right. And I'm not even getting paid. Wonderful, isn't it? So let's keep going. So musically speaking, when I got to this part, this is kind of the one spot where it kind of changes and it's a little climactic. So
Find you are the cause of the only revival I'll find for my soul. It's been neglected too long.
So you can see I had to do some editing acrobatics here of this. So this is the harmony. This is the harmony track right here. And then I took out this little chunk right here. Oh wait, there's a way to do this, isn't there? What is this? 9. Here we go. 9. What?
Find for my soul.
Which, by the way, is right at the top of my range. Kind of scary notes to sing. And then because I wanted just that part to have this delay effect on it. So.
Find for my soul. Find for my soul.
Well, it goes on a lot longer than you're actually able to hear it in the song. But, yeah, it was like, it needs to echo. I don't know why, but it needed to have that. And so I did some splicing, sent it down to this. I had this soul delay track down here, which I guess is the volume. I had to adjust the volume to make it stand out as much as it need to, but not more than. So that was kind of fun. Also, I love the brass here. I wish I probably should have made it louder, but when it's building right here. Especially that bass trombone. Man, love me some bass trombone. It actually doesn't sound as good by itself, but when it's just in the bottom, just bam, bam, bam. It's good stuff. All right. So let's see here. Let's keep
Been
going.
neglected too long. Been sidelined for songs and hurry, books and worry.
Yeah, so my soul's been neglected too long. It's been sidelined for songs and hurry. So songs, I like music. Sometimes I just focus on music. Even in church, I'll be singing worship songs. I'll be thinking about the music and not about Jesus, who it's for. I'm singing to him, but I'm thinking about, I don't know, I think they could turn up the keys a little bit or whatever, So songs and hurry, talking about hurry a lot. Books and work. Oh, look, books are great, but also if you're like, I can get closer to God by reading a lot of books about him. Maybe I'm, when I do that, it's like maybe I'm hiding from something rather than pursuing something. I'm like, I'll just put more knowledge in my head. Again, it's not what it's about. I'm preaching so much tonight. Aren't you glad you came? Okay, anyways. Songs and hurry, books and worry. I worry a lot. I tend to think of myself as not, but it's for real. So,
And all of this time.
but yeah, and all this time you've been waiting for me. You say your burden is light, your yoke it is easy. Jesus said those things. A lot of times we don't live like it's true, though. We live like, oh, Jesus, just, he's giving me a lot of work to do, and I got to do it, and I'm really exhausted, and I got to do it. And I don't know if that's from Jesus or from culture. Something I still need to work through, but food for thought. You're welcome. All right.
In his light, your yoke it is easy.
And did you notice what happened when I said his burden is light? I brought in the shimmery bells. So your burden is light. All right. So was that very in time? No, it was terrible. That's my not super finessed keyboard skills, just noodling on those notes. But it adds just a really nice atmosphere to that. This is an extra layer.
Your burden is light. Your yoke it is easy. Jesus, I need.
So, anyways, it's sometimes you can barely hear it, but it just adds a little extra oomph on the top. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's see what else we can
Before I learned how to earn and forgot how to yearn, you loved me before.
All right, so let's talk about this brass a little bit. You might notice that you might be saying, Daniel, I knew you played trumpet. I knew you played trombone, but I did not know that you played French horn, which is not really French. It's called a horn in F, but whatever, we'll roll with it. So initially that was, let's see, did I put it here? It is, those are just trombones, but I put on some sort of like brass fattener effect or something, and it does make it sound very, very horn-like there. So I don't know if I have it on right now, but yeah, so in case you're wondering, those are trombones. It just, for some reason, the effects gave it a lot more of that timbre. Oops, sorry, it's just the brass. I shouldn't have apologized. That was great. Okay, yeah. So actually, and this next part is about brass too. So I'm talking about the weight of pleasing and impressing, forgetting the blessing that's mine in you. It's you and me. You are the blessing that I have in you. Also, if my screen just turned dark, it's because my night light filter just turned on. So if it looks weird, I'm sorry. That's how it is. Maybe it won't come through though. I don't know. I've never done it at this time before, I don't think. So, with pleasing and impressing, I wanted to do something a little spicy the second time around. It's not spicy, is not the right word, but I added in just this little because it's like it just sounds like when you're warming up and someone's over there warming up before some nerdy classical music concert, and they're like showing off, bom, 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 bing, bom, bom, I can play arpeggios. Is sort of what's going on there. So that was sort of like, I'm gonna impress you, look at me, I can play trombone good. That was sort of the thought behind that little lick.
Forgetting the blessing that's mine in you. It's you in me. Jesus, help me to stop all this restless activity that keeps on keeping me from coming to you.
So yeah, at the end here we bring back the strings of
to stop.
That's just like, Jesus, help me to stop, and that's kind of alludes back to the stop we already had, and it brings the strings come back there. They also came back here, which is
Jesus, I need.
So it's like, Jesus, I need to be reminded, and at the end, right here, Jesus, I need to be reminded, and at the end, Jesus, help me to stop. So this is not a song of at the beginning, you can see all this green, you can see how hurried I was, and then we sort of got it figured out and there's no more green. It's like, no, like I need to be, I'm pointing with my finger, you can't see I'm playing, but like here, I need to be reminded, Jesus, help me to stop. This is getting at the idea of we are always growing in Christ, and we are always growing in dependence on him. Like, I think there's a C.S. Lewis quote that's like, depending on Christ has to begin again each day like no work had been done on it before. It's said a lot better than that, but that's the idea. Cool. I'm just gonna check my list here, see what I did not include, which is nothing, I don't think. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me in my little studio space here. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it can be super rambly, but hopefully you were able to stick around and catch some of the good snippets. I appreciate you watching, listening to my music. Always feel free to reach out to me if anything I say or anything you hear piques your curiosity. And yeah, I mean, I just encourage you to rest in Jesus. He's the one who can truly transform us. Evaluate, I know I'm doing a lot of self-evaluation, or I want to be doing a lot of self-evaluation of am I hurried, or am I resting in Jesus and in his completed work on my behalf? So anyways, I'll stop preaching. You go back to doing whatever it is you need to do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. I hope to do one for the song Poor in Spirit at some point soon, and also be making more music so that we can do more of these. All right. When I find the stop recording button, which I did, I'll say goodbye. So goodbye.